Possessing a warrior's soul and the pinnacle of true strength among men, the king is said to be the greatest swordsman of all, a god of the blade so fierce that none oppose him, as it is said that in all the world, no man with a blade would ever defeat him again. This is Roronoa Zoro, the man who will surpass Dracule Mihawk and ascend to that fabled throne to become not just the greatest, but the greatest of all time. With his 3 legendary blades and appearance of a devil, in just 10 short minutes, I am going to tell you everything you need to know. From his power to the lore, this is why Zoro is almost the strongest. To begin, just like I said, I wanted to talk about the lore surrounding the character of Zoro and explain why his narrative is so important to his scaling in the world of One Piece. And as early as both episode 24 and chapter 52 of the manga and anime, after seeing the gap between himself and the greatest on the receiving end of the world's strongest sword, we get one statement that will be unreasonably important for the remainder of the story. I solemnly swear from this moment forward that I will never lose again. Until the day comes that I defeat him and take his title, I will never be defeated. And unlike every other Straw Hat, from Luffy to Usopp, Zoro was able to keep true to his word, as in a one-on-one sword fight, even well over 1,000 chapters later, Zoro hasn't ever truly lost again. But what if I told you that this decree so long ago wasn't just a case of nonsense plot armor, instead being the catalyst for all of Zoro's in-universe strength, based on the lore of One Piece? For casual One Piece readers and viewers, this might take a bit of deviation from what you know, but in the One Piece prequel manga titled Monsters, there lived a certain black-haired samurai who you might be familiar with, Shimotsuki Ryuma. And Ryuma is a man littered with parallels to our modern-day Mosshead. For all intents and purposes, if Luffy's the second coming of Joy Boy because he literally inherited his will through the Nika fruit, then Zoro is the second coming of Ryuma, as the man who too shares his will and his dream. Why is this important? Well, it all goes back to Ryuma, or should I say, the king. Yes, long ago, 200, 300, maybe 400 years in the past, this black-haired samurai would become known far and wide as the king, a title given to him by the countless people he saved in his lifetime. He was regarded as both the greatest swordsman and the strongest man, yet somehow he kept growing and kept getting stronger, until he became known as the literal sword god, capable of single-handedly protecting the land of Wano from the entire world. But what does any of this have to do with Zoro? And simply, Ryuma explains at the end of his one-shot manga what it takes to get strong, and to never stop getting stronger. A battle isn't measured by how much fame you gained through it, but by what you protected. Before his fight with Dracule Mihawk, Zoro had a simple-minded goal, with nothing more to push himself than his ambition. But upon tasting defeat, he was humbled by realizing he had failed his captain. He could finally acknowledge that he would have to get stronger, not just to protect his dream, but instead to protect the will of the person he swore his swords to. The two goals eventually becoming so interlinked that he would go as far as to give up on his original dream on multiple occasions for the sake of protecting his captain. This duality found in Zoro, like Luffy and many other characters in One Piece, directly take inspiration from ancient religion. Be it Buddhism, Christianity, or literally Zoroastrianism, Zoro's slowly increasing balance of mind and body, attunement to nature, and the making of his will into reality are all used to show off his explosive and unexplainable proficiency for armament haki in battle. Haki is, as Oda has explained, a literal manifestation of someone's raw willpower into physical form. It's the greatest power in the entire world of One Piece, and it's explained that with enough haki, a person could truly conquer anything. From the effects of a fruit user's abilities to all the 7 C's, it's the power to negate and dominate. That is why Zoro has never lost another fight. By being the only Straw Hat whose goal relies purely on his strength, by simply bringing his will in line with what he believes he can accomplish, almost anything becomes possible. From Zoro cutting straight through the steel body of Mr. One in a single attack, or striking down a member of CP9 in one hit, he's on many occasions punched up far beyond his own weight class for the sake of his dream, and it's how he managed to wield Enma more effectively than any other in the past 20 years. This is also why, for the sake of his dream, he can take on the burdens that only Luffy himself can handle, Be it battling Arlong or scarring the uncuttable Kaido, to charging headfirst into conquest of the sea and even taking on all of Luffy's pain, Zoro has always been able to rise up to the same level as Joy Boy himself when the time called for it. By fighting for something much greater than himself, a holistic dream of growing strong enough to protect and fight for his new family's dreams, his haki and potential simply grows exponentially. And as he himself has said, when his mind and ambition are in sync, the universe aligns like a trichiliocosm. Then, there's nothing he can't cut. But now that I've explained Zoro's strange proficiency towards massive gains in the heat of conflict, and his relationship with Ryuma, I'm going to tell you how strong he is right now by the end of the Wano arc. And with no Toon Force, magic thunderclouds, or cola-drinking robots, this should be surprisingly straightforward. While Zoro's become skilled enough with his three-sword style to even make massive shockwaves with his blades, fire ranged attacks, Tatsumaki, or what have you, they aren't really any more unique than just a bunch of air being slashed at someone really hard. So how much force is he packing? For all of his regular moves, from one-sword style to three-sword style and in between, as of now, Zoro coats them with a layer of advanced Ryuo Haki, a type of Haki that negates conventional resistances by allowing a portion of its energy to directly pierce into an enemy's insides without needing to go through any kind of exterior armor. These attacks are shown to be easily in the same weight class as both Law and Kid, with his presence on the roof even being noticed enough to scare Big Mom, an Emperor-level threat. Zoro then goes on to defeat a First Commander while nerfed using this new strength, and these are the same First Commanders who easily outscale the likes of Large Island to country-level Dofi, and can even somewhat throw hands with continent-destroying admirals. Of course, while being country to potentially large country level is certainly nothing to scoff at, Zoro has one last Haki Bloom ace up his sleeve that you could 100% use to scale him plenty higher. While the likes of Flamon King could no-sell base Zoro's attacks, and Zoro had over 30 bones broken even from just trying to stop Big Mom and Kaido's combo attack, when pushed to his limit, Zoro was able to tap into an awakened power of his own, which he only had any experience with for up to 9 days to this point. Conqueror's Coding, specifically 9-sword style Ashura. This form of advanced conquerors is so crude that even Zoro doesn't really know what it is, but the end results are the same and devastating no less. For a short time, Zoro is suddenly brought up to the level of an Emperor of the Sea, being able to block, parry, and unthinkably cut straight through the strongest man alive at this point in the story through the use of his single technique. This would bare minimum place Zoro at the low end of multi-continental with his fully activated Haki, as he should be the complete equal of Luffy's similar crude awakening, which could split the sky with Kaido, if not just clearly surpassing it. This applies to speed too, with Zoro's base form being debatably slower than Whole Cake Island Luffy, and only being around the high ends of relativistic, whereas his Ashura state just blatantly blitzes full power Future Sight Kaido, making him certainly FTL. And while we could keep going about things like his ability to cut intangible matter like fire, or his other Haki like Observation, which is unfortunately unawakened, it still gives him FTL reaction speeds, I think looking at Zoro's clear similarities with the legendary God of the Blade, on top of his absurd tendency towards massive Haki plumes, it's clear that even with the story half a decade away from completion, his dream won't just come true. Defeating Mihawk in the process, and taking his title, Zoro will inevitably go down as one of the strongest characters in the history of One Piece. Of course, knowing what a popular character this one-eyed Ronin has become over the years, I hope I at least managed to do him some justice in the eyes of his many fans. And as soon as he manages to stumble himself back into more trouble in the manga or anime, you can best believe I'll be on it in a hurry. If you want more now though, hit that big red button, and click the card, and that's all for today. Thanks, everyone.